Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about the most powerful spiritual practice for daily life. It is not found in grand rituals or complex teachings, but in something far simpler, yet far more profound. It is the practice of presence. In a world that constantly demands our attention, where distractions pull us in 1,000 different directions, the practice of being fully present in the moment is the most transformative tool you can incorporate into your daily life. The most powerful spiritual practice is being present in the moment. In modern life, our minds are often preoccupied with thoughts about the past or future. These thoughts are rarely helpful, as they either bring up regrets or anxieties, preventing us from experiencing the present fully. By shifting our focus from these distractions and choosing to immerse ourselves in the now, we can tap into a profound sense of peace and clarity. Being present means letting go of the mental clutter that constantly pulls us away from our true experience of life. We begin to realize that the only moment we truly have is the one we're in right now. Practicing presence isn't about doing anything complicated, it's about bringing awareness to simple moments. Whether you're walking, eating, talking, or simply sitting, paying attention to the sensations, sounds, and surroundings helps keep your mind grounded in reality. Instead of worrying about what might happen next or regretting what has already happened, you learn to focus on what is happening right now. This practice can be transformative in everyday situations. By being mindful of the present moment, we no longer allow our minds to control us. We break free from patterns of stress, anxiety, and mental distractions. The more we practice presence, the easier it becomes to detach from the grip of negative thought patterns. This shift from mind to moment enables us to experience the fullness of life, where true joy and spiritual connection reside. It's a practice of embracing what is, without judgment or resistance. The simple act of noticing your surroundings, your breath, and your feelings helps center you in the present and keeps you from being overwhelmed by thoughts. In the act of being present, you reconnect with your true self, fostering a deeper connection with the world around you and with the life force that flows through everything. This is where spiritual growth begins. The practice of detaching from the ego is essential for spiritual growth. The ego often dominates our thoughts, creating a false sense of identity tied to our accomplishments, appearance, or possessions. It thrives on comparisons, judgments, and external validation, constantly seeking approval and recognition from others. When we identify with the ego, we become trapped in a cycle of self-criticism, pride, and insecurity. Detaching from the ego doesn't mean denying our individuality, but rather recognizing that we are not defined by our thoughts, emotions, or external circumstances. We are more than the labels and roles we attach to ourselves. To begin detaching from the ego, we must practice awareness. Recognizing when the ego is in control is the first step. This requires mindfulness and the ability to observe our thoughts without judgment. When we become aware of the ego's influence, we can begin to detach from its grip. One of the most effective ways to detach from the ego is to embrace humility. Humility allows us to release the need for validation and approval. It enables us to accept that we are not superior or inferior to anyone else. Humility creates space for true connection and growth, free from the fear of judgment or failure. Another key aspect is letting go of the need to control everything. The ego thrives on control, always trying to manipulate situations to its advantage. However, the more we try to control, the more stressed and anxious we become. Surrendering control and accepting things as they are allows us to experience life more fully and peacefully. By practicing detachment from the ego, we find a deeper sense of peace and authenticity. Instead of living in reaction to external circumstances, we learn to respond from a place of inner clarity and wisdom. We become less attached to outcomes and more focused on the present moment. As we detach from the ego's illusions, we open ourselves to a greater understanding of who we truly are and connect more deeply with the world around us. This shift brings lasting freedom, joy, and spiritual growth. Living in the present moment is the foundation of a powerful spiritual practice. The mind often dwells on the past or worries about the future, which leads to stress, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection from reality. When we are focused on past regrets or future fears, we miss the richness of the present experience. The present moment is the only time we truly have. It is where life happens, where we can act, feel, and connect. To fully embrace the present, we must practice mindfulness, which involves being fully aware of our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings without judgment. In the present moment, there is no room for unnecessary mental clutter. By letting go of past attachments and future expectations, we make space for clarity and inner peace. This practice requires discipline and constant awareness. It is easy to become distracted by the constant flow of thoughts that the mind generates, but the more we return our focus to the now, the easier it becomes to stay grounded. Each moment is an opportunity to reconnect with our true self, free from the noise of mental patterns and external pressures. A key to living in the present is to cultivate gratitude for the current moment. By acknowledging the beauty and abundance around us, we develop a sense of appreciation for the simple things in life. Whether it's the warmth of the sun, the sound of birds, or the company of loved ones, these present experiences can bring a deep sense of fulfillment. When we focus on what is right in front of us, rather than being consumed by distractions, we develop a richer, more meaningful relationship with life. Living in the present moment also strengthens our ability to respond to challenges with grace and wisdom. Instead of reacting based on past wounds or future fears, we become more attuned to what is actually happening. We approach life with openness, free from judgments and assumptions. This allows us to experience peace and flow, even in the midst of difficulties, because we are no longer consumed by thoughts that pull us away from the now. Practicing self-awareness is one of the most powerful spiritual practices. It is the ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and reactions without identifying with them. In a world filled with distractions, we often become entangled in the constant flow of thoughts and external events, losing touch with our true selves. Self-awareness helps us detach from this mental noise and recognize that we are not defined by our thoughts or emotions. It allows us to experience life with clarity, making conscious decisions rather than reacting automatically based on past conditioning. To cultivate self-awareness, we must first acknowledge our habitual thought patterns and emotional responses. This requires a willingness to sit with discomfort without trying to avoid or suppress difficult emotions. Through self-awareness, we can recognize when we are reacting out of fear, anger, or insecurity, and instead choose to respond from a place of calm and wisdom. This practice brings a deeper understanding of our inner world, helping us uncover the unconscious beliefs that often drive our behaviors. Self-awareness is not about judging ourselves or seeking perfection. It is about observing ourselves with compassion, understanding that we are all works in progress. By becoming more aware of our mental and emotional states, we can begin to break free from limiting beliefs and old patterns that no longer serve us. This awareness allows us to make choices aligned with our highest values and intentions rather than being controlled by fear or impulsive desires. As we practice self-awareness, we become more present in our daily lives. We stop living on autopilot and start engaging fully with each moment. Whether it's in our relationships, work, or personal time, being aware of how we are feeling and thinking helps us to respond with greater intention. It creates space for mindfulness, where we can choose how to act rather than reacting unconsciously. This practice of self-awareness brings a profound sense of peace and clarity, allowing us to move through life with greater purpose and authenticity. Living in alignment with your values is a powerful spiritual practice that guides you toward a life of authenticity and fulfillment. Every individual has a unique set of values, which are the principles and beliefs that define who they are and what they stand for. When we live in accordance with our values, we experience a deep sense of inner peace and clarity because our actions reflect our true selves. To begin living in alignment with your values, it's essential to first identify what those values are. Take time to reflect on what truly matters to you, whether it's love, honesty, growth, freedom, or compassion. Understanding your core values gives you a foundation from which to make decisions in every aspect of your life. Once you are clear about what is most important to you, you can begin to evaluate how your current life aligns with those values. Many times we get caught up in external pressures, societal expectations, family demands, or the desire for success, leading us to make choices that go against our deeper beliefs. Living in alignment requires us to have the courage to make decisions that honor our values, even if they are not always the easiest or most popular. This may mean setting boundaries, saying no to things that don't serve us, or pursuing goals that reflect our authentic desires rather than external approval. When we live according to our values, we create a life that feels true to ourselves. This alignment brings a deep sense of satisfaction, as we are no longer living to please others or conform to societal expectations. Instead, we are following our inner compass, which leads to greater fulfillment and peace. Challenges will arise, but when we stay rooted in our values, we approach them with resilience and clarity, knowing we are on the right path. Living in alignment is an ongoing practice of being true to ourselves, embracing what resonates deeply, and letting go of what no longer serves us. The power of presence is one of the most transformative spiritual practices that we can cultivate in our daily lives. Presence is the act of being fully engaged in the moment, free from distractions and mental clutter. It involves consciously letting go of the past and future, embracing what is happening right here and right now. This practice allows us to experience life with greater clarity and awareness, rather than being caught up in the constant stream of thoughts and worries that often dominate our minds. Being present requires us to shift our attention away from the habitual patterns of thinking that tend to pull us into the past or future. When we are lost in thought, we are often either reliving past experiences or anxiously anticipating what is yet to come. By focusing on the present moment, we interrupt this cycle and anchor ourselves in the here and now. This can be as simple as paying attention to our breath, noticing the sensations in our body, or observing the world around us with full attention. When we practice presence, we begin to see the world with fresh eyes. We become more attuned to the beauty and richness of life that is often overlooked when we are distracted by mental chatter. Presence allows us to connect more deeply with ourselves and others, as we are no longer preoccupied with our thoughts or judgments. Instead, we are fully available to the experience, whether it's a conversation with a loved one, enjoying nature, or engaging in a creative endeavor. Furthermore, presence brings a sense of peace and stillness that helps us navigate life's challenges with greater ease. When we are present, we are less reactive and more responsive, able to make decisions from a place of clarity rather than emotional overwhelm. This practice fosters a deeper connection to our inner selves, allowing us to experience life with a sense of balance, equanimity, and gratitude.